What is happening, traders? God bless each and every single one of you guys. Hope you're having a stand-up freaking day. I wanted to jump in here and give you a quick top-level analysis on AMC, and we're just rocking and rolling with AMC today. We got my boy Gary the Goose. The Goose is freaking loose, my friends. And let's jump straight into the technical analysis, because AMC has seen a very important technical level being tested right now. As we said in our previous video, right? This uptrend is going to be not make or break, but it is important for bullish momentum. So if you lose this uptrend, you're also losing what support you have of this shoulder, head, right shoulder. So it becomes interesting to see what ends up freaking happening here, right? On the daily time frame, looking at that, daily. There we go. On the daily time frame, you have two things that I'm watching for, right? You are ever so close on the daily time frame to losing this uptrend. On the 4-hour chart, you've already done it, right? You close with an inverted bullish hammer candle or a shooting star candle, however you want to see it, right? You can look at the last few times it's happened on AMC, and we have a running joke, a running gag on this channel that every single time you get these technically bearish candlestick formations, right? You got one there, you got one there, you got one there, right? Every single time you see a bullish engulfing candle follow through. And what's so interesting here is you've gotten it again, right? So albeit, even though you got this bearish candlestick formation going into the test of this uptrend, which you can take two different ways, right? You could say that bulls aren't stepping up here. They're not bringing the volume. And you could also say that bears are failing to push it down. Ultimately, we'll see what happens tomorrow, right? Whether or not this becomes this kind of silly 5.42% candle, the silly goose candle, or whether or not you reject and go into this falling wedge formation and just hold it just a second, right? That's what we're going to get into on AMC. But I want to go over the volume on the day, right? 10.14 million shares, guys, is absolutely nothing. In fact, the more I zoom out here, traders, the more I can put into retrospect that is the lowest volume that you've traded on AMC since all the way less than down here, right? In these accumulative lows of the falling wedge. The least amount of freaking volume, traders, since all the way, even less than here. Oh my God. Since all the way back, even less than this 11 million. Last time you had this low of volume, traders, you have to go back a full calendar year, right, to September 16th of 2025. Put that into perspective, right? That's absolutely cracked. And typically when you see these low volume traded days, as I mess up the trend line, you often see our boy, John Bollinger, begin to squeeze you a little bit. Right? On these low volume consolidative days, the Bollinger Bands are going to continue to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze until that band snaps, right? Thinking of it like an analogy of a rubber band, right? You can only pull it so far until that snaps. Well, we're looking at it now on, what is it? Webull. So I want to look at a shorter time frame Bollinger Band. Right. Let's see. Not the 1 hour. There we go. So on the 4-hour chart, guys, my boy John is beginning to squeeze you, right? The John Bollinger Bands are beginning to come down and up in a very important manner. And on the 4-hour chart, you often see this before that next move, right? That next momentum wave. You saw it back here, right? This chop zone, you had Bollinger Band squeeze to the max. You revisited the top, revisited the middle, and then squoze. You had it back here, right? Bollinger Band squeeze, revisit the top, consolidate, and then squeeze further. and you also had it back here, right? Oftentimes the move is going to occur as you have these Bollinger Band squeeze. So that is a good sign for AMC as you see it continue to consolidate here. Even if you've lost this uptrend, guys, I do believe you're going to continue to consolidate within this falling wedge, which, mind you, traders, this downtrend in the stock is from this $3 retracement, and this resistance, right? This lowering resistance support, or this lowering support, was previous all-time resistance, guys. That's why this is such a monumental, quintessential freaking point in the stock's history in which you're retesting previous resistance as new freaking support. Right, I'm gonna take a little peeky weeky on the daily time frame for you guys, as I keep on doing every single video, so you guys can just understand, right? This is your previous all-time resistance, and now you're using it as support. There is very, very few things more bullish than such. So if you hold above this and you break out of this falling wedge, guys, right, higher in my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. Do not take this or act on what I say, but this thing is setting up in a beautiful way. There's 2 to 3 more things I wanted to recap before we conclude this video. And one of the first one is, if you're not a subscriber of this channel yet, do me a favor, right? I would actually really appreciate it. Hit the freaking like button, slap the subscribe button, because we are trying to bring back the fuego, the fire, to the AMC community. And we've been doing it for a very long time. I don't think anyone's been doing it as consistently as we have with as good a value. So make sure to do that. Second thing, right? Look at the RSI. I said in my last video with Neo, men lie, women lie, but the RSI does not freaking lie. And when you look at where you are today, right, you're going towards the 50 line on the daily time frame. That is indicative of a bullish trend retest. If you hit that in coming down here to this falling wedge, I expect a large size move if this trend is going to remain bullish on the short time frame, right? This can be further validated by the weekly time frame, in which not only do we know, right, the volume has completely exited the chat. Gary the Goose has said, get the heck out of the freaking chat, right? Gary the Goose is kicking out all volume. And so what I expect here is, if this is going to be a bullish retest, you want to see the week either finish with minuscule nothing burger volume, or finish in a very impactful way, because you're coming into a point where not just did we get the retest of this uptrend last time, right? As we got this RSI band retest, right? Look at that on the weekly time frame. Huge, absolutely massive that you find this bounce here. You're also doing it on the retest of this all-time resistance, right? You're retesting this RSI band, and just like we said last time, guys, it's okay to kind of dip down here, whether it be Thursday or Friday, as long as you finish strong, right? As long as you close out the week above the RSI band, all will be okay. And this thing continues to be bulls on parade, guys. So absolutely fascinating stuff. I'm excited to see what becomes off of this RSI band test. Do we fail, right? Because then if we fail, we're coming down to the 50 line, and that looks a little bit more bearish, right? That looks a little bit more like you may come down to this uptrend right around $2 flat and potentially fill that gap at 205. But we will not cover it. We'll get there when we freaking get there, guys. And until that time comes, I'm remaining bullish, right? On AMC, on the 30-minute time frame, you do have a touch of hidden bullish divergence, right? A lower low on the RSI, but a higher low on the stock price. Now, this can be invalidated, right? If you come down here and then you make a lower low, but until that has happened, traders, this is technical hidden bullish divergence. So whether or not you regain this uptrend, right? Maybe that happens early tomorrow, if the S&P bounces, or, right, or if you see this thing kind of just both are okay, right? Both are okay. It really just comes at the cost of your sanity. So That's kind of the short-term analysis on AMC. We know our long-term macro targets, 318, 408, and 556 are all going to be quintessential areas to break above if this trend remains bullish. Until we get there, guys, like we said, if we break down, we'll talk about it. But freaking hit the freaking like button, get this video to Tendy Town, and let's get into S&P. I just want to show you guys, you're down today. It's very obvious that the broader market pulled AMC down on a low volume nothing burger. You're likely to retest the 9-day EMA, currently trading $2 where we are at 770. And if you do not hold that, guys, it does have a little bit more of a distributive look to go and retest this previous all-time high resistance, which comes right around 750. Now that would suck, right? There's no beating around the bush, but you do have this gap fill currently sitting at 758, and the retest is 2.35% down. So if that happens, guys, you can probably anticipate that AMC may go fill its gap, but until that happens, guys, we kind of just have to wait and see, right? I'm kind of leaning that you're gonna go and fill the gap, in my opinion. That's just where my bias is right now. But until we do anything, traders, it is yet to be seen. But as always, guys, God bless each and every single one of you. Hope you're having a stand-up freaking day with you and your family, right? Go outside, touch grass, and it's honestly a beautiful day to be alive. So until next time, guys, you know what to say. The best is yet to come. Much love and peace. Woo!